More and more people are turning to Garrett Lewis and 5 News to cover the weather where they live.
Thank you for making 5 News the most watched local news in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley.
We've got a tornado warning pop up in the area, so we're going to get out of sports and toss it back to Darren.
All right, thanks for that, Bobby. We do have a brand new tornado warning. This just came down. Take your immediate tornado precautions in Poteau. You guys, I was watching this hail over Kavanaugh. It was almost 3 inches. Let me get right in on it. There are storm spotters that are tracking this storm. There's strong rotation here on the southwest side of the storm. It's actually going to be right near Poteau. So if you live in Poteau, you need to move to the small middle room, the most interior hallway until this storm passes. We're looking at the rotation directly over the town of Poteau now, tracking north and northeast. That puts it in Rock Island. Who's next for this storm? Let's zoom out. This is what we are afraid of as far as this warm front goes. These supercells that get embedded along that front. This is tracking northeast Greenwood. We're in this Fort Smith. We're actually in the tornado warning right now. So for those of you guys who are in Fort Smith, you guys are probably going to be hearing sirens soon, and we're probably going to be watching this storm track north and northeast. I think it gets more towards the south side of Fort Smith at the moment. Again, this is a brand new tornado warning. You can see the polygon here. It includes downtown Fort Smith, down through Arcoma. It includes South Fort Smith. It also includes Pocola. It includes parts of Fort Coffee. It includes Spiro. Anywhere in this area, you guys need to move to the safe place now as it moves to the north and towards the northeast. We're going to get over on Storm Analyzer here in a moment. We're going to look for tornado debris signatures to see if this thing's on the ground. Not only that, I can hear over my shoulder, meteorologist Chris Webb is listening to it. Storm spotters are actually on this storm right now, and they're looking up at the updraft, and they're looking for any rotation and looking for any tornadoes that develop or could fall out of this storm. So let's get a look at this again, and then we're going to go over to Storm Analyzer and look at this a little closer. Again, of immediate impact, this is Poteau immediately, Shady Point, and Rock Island. You guys in this area, take your immediate tornado precautions. That tornado is tracking to the north and to the north and east. If we'll look inside the storm a little bit here, I can show the tight rotation here, right over Poteau, moving to the northeast. This is essentially right over the Walmart, coming over the bypass, moving to the north and east, up towards Cameron and Rock Island. That's where this hook is located. That's where the strongest storm is located. Chris, the movement on that is at northeast at about 35, probably east-northeast, I imagine.
Yeah, checking out right now.
All right, we'll get that here in a second. I'll do a storm track and give you guys an idea of when this is going to affect where you live. Let me jump back over here to the radar here in just a second. I'll get that for you as we look in at this a little bit more. You can see the storm here. Let me zoom out a little bit more here, and then we can take a look at the storm as we track it to the north and towards the northeast. Again, that tornado warning goes for Fort Smith. It also includes the Poteau area. The movement's northeast at 40, Chris, on that. So we'll be tracking this northeast at 40. I'm going to track the hook northeast at 40 miles per hour. So these are the areas that are going to be affected by this. Then after this, we're going to Storm Analyzer to get a low-level look at the storm here. Pocola, 1049, really crucial for you guys out towards Pocola at about 1050 or so. Then that tracks northeast up towards Bonanza, 1053. Enterprise, says Enterprise, it's talking about the old south part of Fort Smith, out where Beverly Enterprises is. That's Golden Living. So South Fort Smith at 1055, and again, that's a northeast track that eventually takes it through South Fort Smith. It doesn't hit Sallisaw, it doesn't go into the Roland area, and there are no tornado warnings. I know it's loud in Fayetteville right now, guys, but this is the main show in town right now as far as the strongest storm that's out there at the moment. I'm going to take this off the screen real quick, and then go ahead and go over to one panel on this, and we'll go over to Storm Analyzer real quick and take a look at this. This is a live look as we look into the storm. This is looking to Poteau. I'm not sure, being at night like this, it's real hard to see these wall clouds. It's tough to see exactly where that storm is going to be tracking at night as far as the iCams go. But when you're looking at the storm out across the area, you're really looking at, you can't see a whole lot in that particular storm at nighttime. When it's nighttime like this, it's just difficult to see. But what I can show you here in a second, we'll be able to show you exactly where this storm is really wrapped up. And we'll go over to Storm Analyzer right now and show you that. There it is. And I'm going to go to the wall, Chris, and you can do this, and then we'll go back to Max 5 Doppler radar. I'm showing it right now, still over Poteau, right in here. So I think of immediate impact is North Poteau, and then eventually Cameron, and potentially out towards Pocola through time. This is the hook right in here. So this is the area that we're watching as it moves to the north and to the northeast. Again, movement's about 40 miles an hour. This is the latest scan here. You can see the hook echo right in here. The rotation's just northeast of Poteau, and it's tracking north, almost northeast so here. So I think Cameron and Poteau are probably most impacted by the rotation, but the hail risk is actually going to be greatest just south of Spiro. East of Shady Point, there's going to be huge hail out of this, probably about quarter, maybe even golf ball size. Oh, there it is. There you go. There you go, Chris. Look at that. This hail right in here is about 2 inch, so we're talking about egg size hail, larger than egg size or golf ball size. Again, that's tracking northeast, coming right towards Pensacola. If you're in Pensacola, South Fort Smith, even Hackett, two things. First of all, if you can move your car to the garage, you're going to save some money on insurance. Second thing is, get ready to move to the safe spot as this thing moves through, because it does have some very low-level rotation on that southwest side of the storm as it moves through. Go ahead and go to rotation tracker on that, on normalized rotation, and we can pinpoint where the rotation's strongest. This is isolating us where the tornado would likely occur, and it looks like on that last frame, Chris, it fell off a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like it tried to taper off just a little
right
bit.
In here. See, right there is where the rotation was strongest. Here's where you come into town from Poteau. The Walmart's right there, and then you run south of town out to where we do the hot air balloon fest.
And then we advance that, and you notice it drops off.
Right there. So we're still seeing tight rotation. It's essentially due east of Poteau, and it's tracking up towards Cameron and Pensacola and Hackett. Go ahead and go to the, let's look at CC real quick for me. It's not going to make a lot of sense for viewers. Looks a little noisy right in here at the moment. Okay, we can go back to reflectivity now and take a look at where that hook is located here, right in there. So right in here, you can see it really wrapped up here still over Poteau, coming into town on the north side of town. Let's go back to Max 5 Doppler radar real quick. And we'll go ahead and zoom in on this. It still looks like it's actually hooked up pretty good on that particular storm here. Again, tracking to the north and east.
Yeah, definitely right now, right there in between Poteau and Cameron and Shady Point, kind of that triple point right in between all of those places.
Got a new severe thunderstorm warning coming now, Washington County, Arkansas. Also a new severe thunderstorm warning, so we're going to get it on you. Hook is really pronounced here, but I assume it's probably a little better in the upper levels of the storm too. So we can go, let me go back to Max 5 Doppler radar real quick. I know Darren's actually listening to some of the storm spotters. If there's anything that you want to jump in on, Darren, go ahead and do that too. Right in here is where the hook is. So I think if we have a lowering or a funnel cloud, that's exactly where it's going to be located here, northeast of Poteau, tracking to the north and northeast. Pensacola, Cameron, Rock Island, and Williams. You guys need to move to the safe place now. This thing's moving northeast at 40. It's going to be on top of you sooner than later, coming right to the northeast. It looks like South Poteau now. You're probably getting strong winds wrapping in out of the southwest side of the storm, and it's real wrapped up right in here as it jogs northeast, right up towards Rock Island. New scan coming around on this. Let me take a look at the inside of the storm here and get a closer look at exactly what this looks like. Oh yeah, there it is right there. You can see that strong rotation now east-northeast of Poteau. It's going to be just southeast of Shady Point, probably closer to Cameron, closer to Williams, and closer to Rock Island. I think we can loop this and show you how that rotation is tracking over time as we see it come into town.
Hey,
right through here.
Can I take you over to
yeah, go ahead.
GR Analyst real quick? Right now, we are seeing an intensifying of that
right
rotation.
There, near Cameron,
right there.
Sure enough.
So I'll back this up a couple frames for us. You notice there where you're seeing the green, that's going to be where we're seeing the most intense rotation. Backs off on that last scan, and then the most recent one, we see that kind of blow back up right there, tracking in between Poteau and Cameron. Again, all of this is tracking towards the northeast. So right here, this is going to be the bullseye for where we're seeing that rotation tracking toward the northeast. You can very, very clearly see that hook as it's working its way kind of towards the Pensacola area. Again, this is going to be south of Spiro. We are seeing that between kind of Panama and Poteau right now as this continues to work its way towards Pensacola right now. So that area of intense rotation, it has shown signs of intensifying in the last scan. So we are dealing with quite a bit of rotation out there as this works its way to the northeast. Again, Pensacola, if you are in the Pensacola area right now, go ahead. Take shelter, start, using those tornado plans, because we are seeing this intensifying as it's making its way towards you. On top of this, we're also seeing some very large hail out there with this storm as it's making its way through. So we are dealing with not only the tornado threat, which is going to be our biggest threat, but also a large hail threat with this. And it is taking up a pretty good part of this storm. We've seen hail upwards of 2 inches in diameter. So very dangerous storm making its way through Flore County right now. It's heading towards South Fort Smith. Barling is going to be just on the edge of this warning. We are seeing really most of this activity, though, just to the north of Poteau. There it is right there. We're seeing that green and the red. That area right there is where we are seeing the strongest rotation. And then once you start picking out these greens in there, in between Cameron and Poteau, that's where we're seeing the most intense rotation in this hook.
Hey Chris, I'm gonna go ahead and look at that real quick. I'm gonna turn on the storm relative here. What I want to look at is I'm gonna place a marker here. We're looking for blue colors that fall off on this in the center of where that red dot is. I don't see any right now. That tells me the tornado probably is not on the ground. That being said, you guys in Cameron, this is go time for you guys in Cameron. This is a tornado warning right now in eastern Flore County with very, very strong rotation and the potential for it to produce a tornado at any moment. This thing is very, very wrapped up at the moment. It's coming right up towards Cameron. You guys in Cameron, move to a safe place. What I want to do right now is go to a widescreen shot. I want to kind of get a big view. I don't want to just focus in on this particular storm, although I'm going to go back to it. We also have storms, and I know it's loud in Fayetteville. You guys are wondering what's going on here. We have thunderstorms from Springdale to Fayetteville to Lincoln. These are hail-producing storms farther to the north. We're watching these storms, and we do think there's a large hail potential, but at the moment we're covering the storm that's strongest in Flore County just because it does have that tornado threat on it. So again, here's a closer look at it. You can see the storm wrapped up here out across Poteau. Go ahead.
How much?
Quarter-size hail coming into Pensacola now. All right, so we're looking at Cameron now. I think the strongest rotation is over Cameron. If we get in on exactly where this is located as far as street-level mapping goes, we're talking West 2nd Street and also Pearl Street, West 2nd along Cameron, and also Barnes Avenue inside the town of Cameron. Old Highway 112 too, Chris.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out, too, that along with this tornado warning, National Weather Service saying that 2.5-inch hail possible with this as it makes its way through. So very large hail possible with this storm as it continues working its way through Flore County on towards Sebastian County. So
okay, I've got a new hit on rotation tracker. Let me go back to this. Very strong rotation here out over Cameron. This is right over Cameron, over the town of Cameron, moving northeast. This is going to be right along 120. If you guys live in Cameron or Rock Island, move to the hallway right now. This thing's coming through, and it's wrapped up even more on the last scan. Here it is before, here it is now. Here's a look at the rotation at what it looks like right here. I can see this strong area right in the middle where the red and green meet each other. And if I take a look at this storm again, I don't see any indication it's currently on the ground. But I'll tell you what, there's probably a huge wall cloud currently located right over the town of Cameron that could drop a tornado at any time. That being said, let me go back to the wall here, and I want to get a wide view. And then we'll also look at rotation tracker as this thing moves on in, and also take a look too at our ICAMs. We have ICAMs that are all across the area as well. Let me get back to our current ICAM at Choctaw. Okay, so now we're looking towards the storm here. We're in the Pensacola area and looking to the south and towards the southwest. We're in the heart of the storm here. I think we're going to get some hail on the storm as it moves on in. I'm going to move the Pensacola camera, though, around to the west here, and I'm wondering if we're able to see the storm as it moves in, if we'll even see the wall cloud. We're looking essentially right where the wall cloud would be, due southeast of Pensacola towards it. So we'll watch this, and we'll watch the ICAM as it moves through. That being said, let's get back to Max 5 Doppler radar and go back over here to the weather wall. And Chris, I'm going to do a storm track on this, a revised storm track as it makes its way on in. Here's Cameron. I do think Cameron and Chris, go ahead and check on Analyzer back and forth, and let me know if you get a tornado debris signature hit on this. Let's wide out again. This is the wide view of the storm. You guys that are under the threat of the tornado are at the red box. We have warnings in northwest Arkansas. We don't have any tornado warnings, but we do have severe thunderstorm warnings in northwest Arkansas. In the River Valley, we have the tornado warning. It does include South Fort Smith at the moment. It's over Cameron now. It's tracking north and northeast. Let's go ahead and track this, and let's watch this hook develop here as it moves north. The general track is going to take this over Pensacola, guys. You guys in Pensacola need to move to the storm shelter right now. Same with you guys in Rock Island. And eventually, through time, this could include Arcoma. It could include South Fort Smith. South Fort Smith, be thinking right now about the hallway. If you have an outdoor storm shelter, this is going to be the time to get in it. Not only that, penny size, so we're pea size. So we're getting some of this hail already starting to form in the leading edge of this supercell storm as it moves on in. Now I'm going to stop the radar here, and we're going to zoom in a little bit more. You can see the update here. There it is over Cameron. I'm going to show you exactly where the tornado is and where it's tracking, and then we're going to do a storm track on it. The tornado would form right here over Cameron. We don't have any reports that it's on the ground at the moment, and the great thing with Doppler radar is we're able to actually see the low levels of the storm, so we can see debris in the storm. And we don't have anything, at least at the moment, that indicates any tornado debris signature. That being said, anywhere along Oklahoma 112, from Rock Island, you guys have driven this 1,000 times, coming up from the north to the south, out towards Rock Island here, Old Highway 112, and then getting into Cameron, the tornado would be basically coming right up 112 right now towards Rock Island, and then eventually getting into Pocola. King Street and Cameron under the immediate threat of the tornado. All right, so let's look at this, how this tracks north at 40 miles per hour. And this is going to be tracking north at 40, so this is going to include some parts of Fort Smith. I'm going to look at this in Muldrow real quick, guys. A little hook on that storm there. I want to see if there's any rotation in it. There's a little rotation on this, too. There's no tornado warning on it. This is something to keep an eye on. The tornado warnings on the storm here to the south. This thing is extremely wrapped up. You can see the blue and the red colors right next to each other. Let's track this to the north at 40 miles per hour, so we're looking at it right over Cameron. A north track at about 40. Here's the latest timeline on this. Pocola at 10:52. We got about 10 minutes before this moves into Pocola. South Fort Smith about 10:58. That's out around Kavanaugh. We're looking at South Fort Smith at 11:05. Arcoma is going to be 11:06. Mazard and West Fort Smith at about 11:10. So this includes the southwest part of Fort Smith in about the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. Right now, the tornado continues to track right up 112, and it's on pace to move through Rock Island and then eventually Pocola. Now, we've been talking a lot about the rotation on this storm a lot, and that's very important. There's also a very big hail risk. We have hail likely occurring over Fayetteville. That's about quarter size on the east side of town. The hail in Fort Smith is going to be very large, too. Very, very large hail in the Fort Smith area, especially South Fort Smith and especially Pocola. The hail in this area, it's the dark blue here. We're estimating $half size. I think it's probably closer to golf ball size with the largest part of that storm there. Not going to spend too much time on the hail because of what we've got going on with the tornado, so we're going to jump back over to rotation tracker.
Hey, Garrett,
go
can I
ahead, go.
Real quick, I was just going to say, I'm going to switch this over to...
Hey, real quick, let me get in on this. This is rotation tracker here.
It.
I show it over Cameron, Rock Island. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, it looks like two different areas of rotation have pulled up. One just to the south of Rock Island, one just to the west of Cameron right now.
Right here. And what happens here is the northern rotation actually what we call occludes or wraps up, and then a new one forms on the southwest side. And so that's probably what we're seeing here. Oklahoma 112 is ground zero here as this thing moves to the north and east. Go ahead and go over to Analyzer. I know that's what you're looking at right now behind the scenes there, Chris, and we'll take a look at it. Here's the rotation over Cameron. This is the latest scan. It's a little broader. There's your two rotations. You can see one here near Rock Island. Now go ahead and go back to storm relative here so we can see the wind speeds in the storm. And we'll see that the highest rotation here has been over Cameron, but it does look like there's another one forming here out over Rock Island, a little bit right in here. But this one's still the strongest, the parent cell. It's on the north side of 112. The rotation would be, as it's moved through Cameron, is now making its way to the north and east. Take me up to Muldrow real quick, too. I got another storm up there I'm keeping an eye on. Right here, there's at least a damaging wind risk here in this storm to the north. The red is winds moving away from the radar, and the green is moving towards the radar. And so we do have a little bit of a very broad circulation here, so this is something to keep an eye on. Let's go back down to the south, though. We don't have a tornado in this area. The tornado is going to be possible here northwest of Cameron. Again, that track is to the north and east. The hail on this is still going to be pretty large as it moves towards Pocola. Go ahead and loop this, Chris, and we'll loop this over the last couple of frames, and you guys can see this thing come into focus and see where that spinning is occurring.
And I want to throw in real quick, sirens are being sounded in Fort Smith right now.
Okay,
so.
They went ahead and sounded the sirens in Fort Smith, and probably for good reason, too. Fort Smith is included in the tornado polygon here, at least the southwest side of Fort Smith. Go ahead and zoom in a little more. What I want you guys to see is how this thing is dancing around the circle here. Look how it's very cyclical, and watch as this rotation spins around. Now, here's what's going to happen next. If you think about a top that's wobbling on a table, it's going to churn, and then it's going to reorganize and get tighter. So as this little part here loops around, it's going to re-intensify probably just to the southwest of Pocola as it moves north and northeast. There's a look at tornado debris signature. Go ahead and stop me on the last frame there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and we're getting reports that the Weather Service is
right
showing debris just
there
to
it
the
is,
west
right
of
there.
Cameron.
Okay, go ahead and zoom in on this real quick. So we're west of Cameron. This is the debris in the storm. This blue area is the debris in the storm. Now go ahead and go back to storm relative, and you'll be able to see as right there. See it? That's the tornado. The tornado's on the ground here west of Cameron. If you can, Chris, go ahead and right-click, place a marker here at the blue dot. and then also line it up and then move the marker over to the road here on 112. Let's see how far away it is. It should get a distance at the bottom of the screen here, exactly where it is. You're looking at it probably, is it about a mile west of 112?
Yeah, about a mile and a quarter.
Okay, 1.25 northwest of Cameron. That's going to track north and east. Go ahead and zoom out just a tad here, and then we'll go back to Max 5 Doppler radar. That's coming up towards Rock Island and Poteau. Again, tornado on the ground. This is debris that's being identified in the radar beam. Chris, what elevation is that if you mouse over that real quick?
Looking like, hold on just a moment, looking like 668 feet.
600 feet. So it's debris that's in the radar beam 600 feet above the surface. So this is the tornado that's on the ground. We've got it confirmed here on radar. That's tracking north, so that's going to be coming towards Poteau and Rock Island, more towards the west side of 112. And right now it's actually going to cheat just west of Rock Island. It looks like it's closer to the Poteau area. Take me back over to storm Max 5 Doppler radar real quick, and we're going to take another look at that. And then we're going to go to our iCams, and we'll see if we can find it. Again, we're looking at that on Doppler radar. You can see rotation tracker is tracking and pinpointing the highest area of wind shear in the storm and where the rotation is the strongest, and it does pinpoint near Cameron up towards Rock Island. I do think it touched down just to the west of Cameron. In fact, I would put this thing very, very close to west of Cameron by about 1 mile or so. Let's get back to Max 5 Doppler radar here. As I click the clicker here, we'll get back to it. There we go. The rotation here now moving into the west side of Fort Smith. I'm going to zoom in on this again. Again, that rotation and the possible tornado would have touched down west of Cameron by about 1 mile or so. So the tornado would be along County Road East 12890. Go ahead.
On the latest scan, we are seeing debris really beginning to spread out across.
Okay, go ahead and go back. We've still got more debris coming in here. This is west of 112 by about a mile or so. And then after that, we'll go to the storm tracker and get an idea of when this moves into Fort Smith. There it is, right there. This is all tornado debris here, and this is very large. I'm going to step off camera here and do a measurement on this. I think that tornado debris cloud here is running from northwest to southeast. It's about a mile across of debris. Now, what kind of debris are we talking about here? Well, a lot of this is grass. A lot of this is tree branches. It's stuff that's whatever this tornado has hit here out over Cameron. And I can zoom in and actually you can see the center of where the tornado is located here. If I were to turn the radar off here, off of the screen, you can see the area that's being hit here. It looks like there could have been some poultry houses in this area here. And then as we move to the north, a lot of trees out through here as it moves north and northeast. It is a very rural area, which is good, but it's just to the west of Rock Island. The problem with that is, here's where our tornado was, the red dot. I'm zooming out now. I'm showing you guys in Poteau. This is 5 miles southwest of Poteau. The tornado is essentially 4 miles southwest of Rock Island. And just for reference points, for South Fort Smith and the Fort Smith Airport, the tornado would be located 14 miles southwest of the airport. And Garrison Avenue by Immaculate Conception, it's going to be 14.8 miles to the southwest. So that's exactly where the rotation is currently located and where it's tracking towards. Again, currently out over the southwest part of Poteau, moving to the northeast. Darren and Chris, you guys are both listening to the ham radio operators. Has there been any reports of any damage or any tornado sightings?
As far as I know, no, we have not heard any reports of damage or sightings, but we obviously with the radar indications, I think it's safe to say that at least at some point we've seen a tornado on the ground, and that could still be ongoing at this point in time.
And you are looking live here from our Choctaw Casino cam. You can see the lightning strikes in the distance. We might be able to, once this line of
baseball-sized hail in Poteau.
Baseball hail in Poteau. Now, baseball hail in Poteau. You guys in Poteau, man, this is going to be very, very loud as this moves through, and you should be in your storm shelter. The problem, look at that cloud to ground strike. The problem with this hail is it's going to be extremely large as it moves through the south part of Fort Smith. Let me give you guys a heads up on what to prepare for here. I'm going to Storm Analyzer, and then I'm showing you guys where the hail is the largest. We're going to go to the maximum hail size on this.
We actually we have somebody in Poteau right now who is saying that they can see the funnel cloud on Highway 112.
We've got somebody seeing the funnel cloud?
Ashton is.
Okay, all right. So they're on 112 looking at the funnel cloud? Is that correct? Can we get them on the phone maybe and make sure that they're out of harm's way too as this thing moves through? Baseball-sized hail now falling in Poteau as it tracks north and east. New severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to be on the sill near Roland. I'm going to go back to the weather wall, and then Chris, we're going to go back to. We've got a lot going on here. I want to do a couple things. I want to do a storm track on the Fort Smith storm, and I want to do a look at this too a little bit closer. So let me. Who's ready? Okay. Well. Let's do this. Let's stay with this for right now in the control room just because we have it moving into town, and then we'll check with Joe here in a second. I know she's ready in the Fort Smith area watching it as it moves on through. I'm going to track the storm north and east. Here's Poteau. Here's Rock Island. Again, northeast at 40 miles per hour. Chris, you might get in chat too, see if the Weather Service is going to extend this thing. They probably will. Downtown Fort Smith, 11:10. You got about 15-20 minutes before it moves through. Arcoma, 11:06. South Fort Smith, 11:05. 10 to 15 minutes before it moves into the south part of Fort Smith. I do have one of our photographers is in this area here, and they're saying they're on 112 looking at the funnel cloud right now. And I assume they're probably right around the south part of Pocola, between Pocola and Rock Island. I would say the funnel cloud is moving through the southwest part of Pocola. Now, you guys in Pocola need to be in your safe room. You need to be away from windows until this moves all the way through the area. It's going to be clear in about 25 minutes, and you'll have the all clear. Right now, this thing's coming through town, though, here on 112. That latest sweep still shows it. It's right there, right over Hardin Lane, moving up towards Love Street and Carter Street. Go ahead, Chris.
A couple quick updates for you. We are starting to get reports of hail in South Fort Smith. On top of that, the National Weather Service on this tornado warning is starting to use strong tornado warning on this. So they are keeping a very close eye. It could be a pretty good sized one right now.
Okay, it's still on the ground, I believe, and we also still have some rotation here. This is actually north of Roland and north of Muldrow. This is up towards Nycut. I'm watching this, and I'm watching you guys in Fayetteville too. It's more of a hail threat farther to the north. All right, of immediate importance is the rotation coming into the south part of town. And as this thing gets closer to Pocola, the rotation anyway, I'm going to go to our Pocola cam because I think we'll get a good look at this thing as it moves on through. Here's 112. The rotation and large hail is coming into South Fort Smith now. A quick look, too, at the hail track. Here's who gets hail damage out of this. Unfortunately, it's a lot of us. It's a lot of us in Fort Smith. And this is almost a year to the date. We had that wallop of a hailstorm last year. Look at the dark blue here. From Pocola to Rock Island, expect golf ball and at least quarter size up to golf ball, and we've had baseball hail reports. This includes Highway 64. You guys between Alma and Van Buren, right here, we're looking at large hail. Kibler, downtown Fort Smith, maybe cheating more towards UA Fort Smith with the large hail.
Pea-sized hail in central Fort Smith.
All right, getting some hail starting to pick up in Fort Smith at the moment now.
Also, direction on this, it's looking like it may be trying to turn a little more to the north.
A little more to the north could mean it's crossing the warm front. It may not be a bad thing for us, too. The easterly movement is not what you want to see. We have Ashton on the line. She's actually around 112. Ashton, go ahead and tell us what you're seeing and where you are.
Hey, Garrett. I am at the Poteau in Pocola. We have all locked inside. There's golf ball hail size, heavy winds. The sirens are going off. The rain was almost making it hard to see, but it's really let up. But the sirens still have been going off for about, I would say, 5 or 6 minutes. It's really crazy lightning. The hail is just pelting the ground. It's all over the ground. Definitely golf ball size hail, and there's a lot of wind. And earlier we heard a bit of that heavy wind noise, kind of like a train, but not quite like a train. And off in the distance, you could kind of see the funnel cloud.
All right, thank you so much for that. That's Ashton. She's live in the Pocola area. We'll check back in with her in just a moment. I'm going to let the radar sweep through this storm, and then we're going to get back to analyzer. We're going to look for debris on this thing. Again, the radar beam coming now through the west part of Sebastian County should give us an update here on the latest. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say some good news on this. It looks like the rotation has backed off quite a bit since we were looking at this earlier as we were watching this track towards Pocola. So that's going to be hopefully good news that maybe this is beginning to weaken. But nonetheless, take this very, very seriously right now. If you're in Pocola, take shelter. If you're in the Rock Island area, also you need to be in your safe space right now because we are watching a very dangerous storm track its way through Flore County right now. Still the warning heading to Fort Smith. Check out that lightning. My goodness.
Very intense lightning. This is actually in the Pocola area now. What I'm going to do, I know the rotation's coming right over Pocola. It has weakened. Chris is showing it weakening. I would still stay in your safe spot till this moves through. I'm just curious if we can actually get some hail sizes here on the iCam to see what's falling here. I can see it bouncing or see it through the lights in there. I don't really see a lot covering the ground at the moment. Yeah, there's some hailstones. There's someone running to their car, probably not in a good mood at the moment. Right here over the parking garage, there are some hailstones. You can see them falling here out of the sky in Pocola. It's tough to see what you're looking at here on iCam. Notice now not all the hailstones are going to be that big golf ball size, but you're going to have some hailstones embedded within that are on the order of golf ball to baseball size as it moves on through. Again, looking live from Pocola. Let's tilt the iCam up here, and you're looking at the heart of the storm here. We're looking for lowerings in the storm. I don't see anything as it moves through Pocola. The rotation essentially is right over Pocola now. and moving through, and I don't see any lowerings here on the camera. We're moving towards Fort Smith, just a ton of lightning within the storm. This is looking towards the airport, would be on the right side of the screen, target and center screen, and then back to the west here, Garrison Avenue would be straight ahead in this shot, and again, that rotation is essentially passing right over this ICAM now, and we don't have any tornadoes on the ground. You can see how windy it is, and just the cloud to ground lightning is just god-awful out there.
I have to say, definitely on the velocities, while there's still certainly rotation being shown, it's nowhere near as evident as it was, say, 5 minutes ago.
That's right. And so here's a look at what Chris is looking at behind the scenes here, and I'll go back to the weather wall and we'll track this in. It's still, if you guys are in Pocola, stay in your safe spot. These things tend to spin up really quick. Pocola right through here. Go back a couple frames, Chris, and we'll look at this a little more as we back this up. And you can see how this rotation has weakened over time as it's moved from the south. There's where it was on the ground right here. And then as we move to the north, go ahead and cycle it up north. It looks like it's occluded or cut off a little bit. The parent circulation went west, and the new one might be still trying to form out over Pocola. So there still could be some circulation here trying to develop, although it does look weaker. You can take a look at rotation tracker on now and take a look and see what that looks like, Chris. And we'll also see, I believe we'll see it's weakened. Go back a couple of frames so they can get an idea of what it looked like before. Here's where it was in Pocola. Right there's where it touched down, where the red dot was. That's where we had the tornado debris signature. That movement tracks it towards Pocola, and it looks like damaging winds are the possibility. It is not as wrapped up as it was, but it's still a very strong storm. Let's go ahead and go back to Max 5 Doppler radar again on this as it makes its way on through.
There you go.
Okay, so we're looking at that hail coming over Fort Smith now, especially downtown Fort Smith. Probably some... okay, we have a live picture in Fort Smith. Go ahead and go to that if we can. All right, we're going to pull that up. Phoenix Avenue near Target, you can see the rain coming in. Also some hail, and this is near Target, so this is where that hail core is falling. Look at those hailstones come out of the sky here, guys. This is going to cause a lot of damage to vehicles here. You're looking at, I would say, at least golf ball size now falling. Can they zoom in on that? I'm not sure if they can hear me or not. We can get an idea of what we're looking at as far as the sizes go on this thing. But you can see what happens when that stuff actually hits the ground and starts to shatter. And we might stick on this shot here for just a second. I'm not sure if it's possible in the control room either to double box this, but what we can do is we can follow the rotation in on the storm, and we can also look at the hail live as it's falling. Again, what do you think there, guys? Probably about at least quarter to golf ball size, Darren?
Well, golf ball was at South Fort Smith.
We've definitely gotten reports of quarter-sized hail
Quartering.
falling.
So it's about golf ball size coming in out of a Target at the moment, and you can see it falling here. This is the south side of Fort Smith. This is going to damage vehicles and will likely damage some roofs as well. I appreciate you guys zooming in. Can you zoom back out a little bit and keep this camera trained south and southwest? And when we do that, we're actually going to be looking at the rotation in the storm. It's going to be coming over this camera, I believe, on the southwest side of Fort Smith. Yeah, should be coming right over this camera here in about the next 5 minutes or so. So as you look over your to the left side of the screen, golly, that cloud to ground lightning strike is something else, isn't it? You're looking at straight ahead would be Bowling World, and then past that would probably be looking towards the casino. We did lose our Choctaw camera a moment ago, likely due to a lightning strike or something like that, a power surge as it's moved on through. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and go back to radar again. And guys, if you can, go ahead and stay on this shot. Stay on the shot there as we, in the control room. If anything pops up, especially as you look towards the sky, feel free to jump back in or get in my ear and let me know what we're looking at. Meanwhile, let's go back to radar and let our folks know what's going on out across the area. And this is, again, the storm and the rotation that we're looking at. I'm going to check National Weather Service chat real quick and see if there's any ideas on whether or not they're going to be extending this. They are seeing that new circulation developing near Pocola. That's what we were talking about. That would track towards Arcoma and Fort Smith with time. No tornado circulation with that at the moment.
It says 11:45.
Okay. New tornado warning now. They just issued it. New tornado warning, 11:45. That is a brand new tornado warning there. It just populated on the map too. Okay, so here's what's going on here as this storm moves on through. And let me zoom back out, and then we'll go back over to Storm Analyzer. What I want you guys to see here, the new red box is the new tornado warning. And guys, I know it's storming in Fayetteville. We have some very large hail. There's tons of warnings up here too. But the new tornado warning here, guys, is going to be for a new circulation here developing near Pocola. That circulation was the one that Chris and I were talking about just a moment ago. And as I step this back in time, watch this. Let's go forward here. We can see the rotation develop here and the tornado touchdown west of Cameron. See how this circulation goes north? What's that?
I don't think you're on.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Darren. As that circulation develops and goes to the north here, let me back it up here a little bit. Here's where it touched down near Cameron. That circulation went due north and weakened. But what we're seeing is a new circulation forming right on the state line just east of Pocola now. So this is a brand new circulation that's going to track on the south side of Fort Smith, probably right through the southeast side of Fort Smith. Probably pretty close to where that camera is on the right, which may or may not be a good thing depending on what they're looking at. If you guys can listen to me, keep your eyes peeled towards the sky, and if we can get a phone conversation with whoever's in there, let's go ahead and do that, because they probably have a good visual on exactly what's going on, and if they need to move to a safe place, they can do that as well. I'm not sure if I can jump in front of the wall. I'm going to try to, though. So we're talking about the new circulation. I'll do it in a second here. The new circulation forming over Pocola and then tracking towards the north. That's going to be right here. There's the new circulation. And again, that tracks north. So there's this brand new tornado warning is now in effect for all of Fort Smith, all of downtown Fort Smith, and also for parts of Crawford County as well. So let me move this back over here, and you guys can see the red box. And then zoom back out. We have that tornado warning here. We also have some cells that we'll need to keep an eye on west of town. But of immediate concern, I think that's over Bonanza, between Bonanza and Pocola at the moment, moving to the north. Northeast of Pocola, sorry. That's going to be right south of Durham, moving over Beverly Way, essentially over Golden Living right now. So the new circulation is developing right over Golden Living. Let's go back to this screen here. Let me see if we can get, I think our Choctaw camera's down. It did go down. Let me go back to our Fort Smith camera. And what I'm going to tell the Fort Smith camera to do is to look down Wheeler Avenue.
Oh, you can see that hook right there, too.
Yeah, that's another parent circulation here, right off of 540. This is our Fort Smith camera. I'm going to tell it to move, bear with me just a second, guys. I'm going to have it look straight down Wheeler Avenue. It's a little difficult to see here. Sparks is going to be out into the distance here. I'm going to zoom on in and push to the right. All right, so we'll leave it there. There's where the art mural was painted. We'll keep an eye on this area here as that storm makes its way on in, and we'll keep you posted if we see anything as this makes its way on through. This is a live look out over the greater Fort Smith area. Also, let me drag in our Van Buren camera too, because this is going to be overlooking the Fort Smith area here. And then after we do that, we're going to go back to radar, and Chris will use Storm Analyzer too, and we'll really zero in on exactly where the strongest part of this storm is currently located. Van Buren ICAM up, looking to the east. Not much there. It's very, very dark at the moment. Don't see anything. You can see the lightning strikes out into the distance. Okay, so we're going to go back to this. Let me do this storm track first, and then we'll jump back over and we'll look at that new circulation. Feel free to jump in. And Chris, I know you're scanning real low levels too, so if you get a tornado debris signature, just go ahead and jump in on this.
Absolutely.
And guys in the control room, keep an eye on that shot too. That's coming out over, that's coming in over the over target, because the circulation is right here now. This is the new circulation. Guys, in Pocola, it's all clear now. It's moved to the north and east. The new circulation is just east of Highway 9, southwest Fort Smith, north of Arkansas 45. This is going right over Viana, out towards Queensbury, out towards the old water tower that's shaped like a golf tee. That rotation should be directly over you guys right now. We've got Joe on the line. Joe, tell us where you are and what you're seeing. Go ahead, Joe.
Our shot is looking out towards Oklahoma. There's a casino in that area that you just talked about. Now we're seeing right here a lot of hail, quarter-size hail. It was really hitting a lot of the vehicles here, and the water, of course, starting to fill up, some flooding out on the roads because of the heavy rain. Now it just calmed down just a few minutes ago, but Garrett, I talked to some families in Pocola just a few minutes ago. I know you said it's moved a little bit away from them, but they told me it sounded really bad there. It was really scary for them. They were in the hallway. They were praying, just waiting for this to pass over. So that's certainly good news for them. But Garrett, what we're seeing here at the target mountain is still just a little bit of hail, some rain as well.
All right, keep your eyes pointed there to the south side of town there, Joe. And I know what you're talking about in Pocola. I actually called my sister while Chris was talking. She lives out in Pocola, and I told her to head to the storm storm shelter. That's probably the first time I've done that since she's lived there. Unfortunately, I think what you guys are seeing now with the hail letting up here is actually you're getting inside of the hook here, and that rotation is going to be just to the straight ahead, actually, looking south. So we're actually looking towards it right now. So, Joe, feel free to jump back into the control.
More and more people are turning to Garrett Lewis and 5 News to cover the weather where they live.
Thank you for making 5 News the most watched local news in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley.